Here is something that will probably annoy you. That date stamped on the milk in your fridge right now? It is not a safety warning. It is not regulated by the federal government. And in most cases, it was made up by the same company trying to sell you more milk. In fact, out of every single food product sold in the United States, only one is legally required to carry an actual expiration date: baby formula. That is it. Everything else? Completely voluntary. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly how this happened, who is responsible, and how it is quietly costing your family more than $700 every single year. But to understand how we got here, you have to meet the last person on Earth you would expect to care about food safety: Al Capone. Yes, that Al Capone, the gangster who ran Prohibition-era Chicago with an iron fist. The man behind the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, the most notorious criminal in American history. He is also, possibly, the reason expiration dates exist at all. Here is how the story goes. Sometime in the early 1930s, a member of the Capone family, most accounts say it was his niece, got violently sick after drinking a bottle of spoiled milk. At the time, there was no way for a regular person to know how old the milk on their shelf actually was. No dates, no labels. You bought it, you hoped for the best. Capone, surprisingly, was furious, not in a mob boss way, in a concerned uncle way. This was a man who, during the worst years of the Great Depression, opened the first free soup kitchen in Chicago. He funded it out of his own pocket. The lines stretched around the block, and Capone reportedly showed up in person to serve bowls of soup to families who had nowhere else to go. Whatever else you can say about the man, he had a genuine soft spot for people he thought the system had failed. So when his niece got sick from milk that had gone bad with no warning on the bottle, he saw it as the same kind of problem. Regular people being let down by a system that did not care enough to protect them. And he did what Al Capone did best. He applied pressure. He bought a milk processing company called Meadowmoor Dairies. He lobbied the Chicago City Council to pass a local ordinance requiring visible date stamps on every single milk bottle sold in the city. And because absolutely nobody in 1930s Chicago wanted to tell Al Capone no, the law passed. Now, historians have never been able to fully verify every detail of this story. It comes mostly from Capone's own family, from a book written by his grandniece in 2010. But what is undeniable is that the Capone family did own Meadowmoor Dairies. They did push for milk dating in Chicago, and that city did become one of the first in America to put dates on food. The irony is almost too perfect. A mob boss did more for food labeling than the federal government has managed to do in the 90 years since. Because here is what happened after Capone went to prison and eventually died in 1947. Nothing. For decades, almost no food in America carried any date at all. Then came the massive shift. After World War II, the entire American food system changed almost overnight. People moved to the suburbs, supermarkets replaced corner grocery stores, and instead of buying food from the local farmer whose name you knew, everything started coming from factories and processing plants hundreds of miles away. Canned goods, frozen dinners, packaged bread, bottled sauces. The entire food supply became anonymous. You had no idea who made it, where it came from, or how long it had been sitting on that shelf. By the 1970s, consumers started demanding answers. They wanted to know if their food was fresh. Activist groups even printed homemade guides to help people decode the mysterious batch numbers stamped on cans. The pressure was building, and the government had a choice: step in and create a clear national standard, or let the food industry figure it out on their own. They chose option 2. And that single decision is why your refrigerator is a mess of contradictions right now. With no federal standard, every company was free to pick its own dates, its own methods, and its own language. One company might stamp a carton of eggs with a sell-by date. Another might write best if used by. A third might just print use by and call it a day. They all sound like they mean the same thing. They absolutely do not. Sell by was actually invented by the British department store Marks and Spencer in the 1950s. It was a stock rotation tool for their back rooms. It was never designed for consumers to see. It just means the store should try to move the product by that date so the customer has some shelf life left after buying it. It says nothing about safety. Best is the manufacturer's best guess at when the product will taste its absolute freshest. After that date, your crackers might be slightly less crunchy. Your salsa might lose a little zing. But neither one is going to hurt you. But here is the one that tricks almost everyone. Use by, which sounds the most serious, is still not federally regulated for anything other than baby formula. A company can put use by on a jar of peanut butter that would genuinely be fine for months past that date, and there is no law stopping them. Now here is the part no one talks about. There are currently more than 40 different state laws governing food date labels across America. Some states ban the sale of food past its printed date. Others have no rules at all. A carton of yogurt that is perfectly legal to sell in one state might be required to be pulled from the shelf and thrown in the trash the moment you cross the state line. Same yogurt, same date, different rules. The result is a system so broken that 80% of Americans regularly throw away food that is completely safe to eat. Not slightly past its prime. Completely safe. Here is the truth that nobody prints on the label. Expiration dates were never designed to protect you. They were designed to protect inventory. Eggs are usually good for at least 2 weeks after the carton date. Most dairy lasts well beyond the printed label. Dry goods like pasta and cereal can be fine for months, sometimes years. But people see a date, feel a flash of doubt, and into the trash it goes. And this is where that $700 number comes in. The average American family wastes around $762 worth of perfectly edible food every single year. That is more than a monthly car payment, gone, every single year, on food that was never actually bad. Across the entire country, that adds up to over $200 billion in food thrown away annually. 160 billion pounds, enough to provide 130 billion meals. Meanwhile, 35 million Americans do not have reliable access to food. And here is the part that might bother you the most. There is very little incentive for anyone in the food industry to fix this. Think about it. Every time you throw away a container of yogurt that was perfectly fine and go buy a replacement, someone made a sale. Every time a grocery store pulls a product off the shelf 2 days before a meaningless date and replaces it with a fresh one, the manufacturer ships more product. The confusion is not hurting the companies printing these labels, it is hurting you. If you are watching this and thinking someone in the government must have tried to fix this by now, you are right. They have tried 4 times. The Food Date Labeling Act has been introduced in Congress in 2021, 2023, and twice in 2025. It would standardize everything down to just 2 phrases: best if used by for quality and used by for safety. The bill has bipartisan support. The food industry supports it, consumer groups support it, and as of right now, in 2026, it is still sitting in committee. So what do you actually do with this information? Honestly, do the same thing your grandparents did before any of this labeling existed. Trust your senses. Use common sense with raw meat and seafood. If something smells off, looks off, or has been sitting out, toss it. But that half-empty jar of salsa with yesterday's date is fine. If it looks fine, smells fine, and tastes fine, it almost certainly is fine. The sell-by date on that milk is a suggestion from the manufacturer, not a death sentence from the government. The best by date on those eggs means peak quality, not the moment they become dangerous. That number on the carton was never a safety warning. It was a suggestion from a company that makes more money every time you throw something away and buy a replacement, and it has been costing you money your entire life. If this changed how you think about the date on your fridge, drop a comment and tell us the oldest expired thing you have eaten that turned out to be totally fine. We know you have a story. If this is your first time here, we make videos like this every week, breaking down the weird history behind everyday things you never thought to question. Subscribe so you do not miss the next one.